I mean, we do have a problem also in which society's immune system is very weak. We're very susceptible. And there's this negative feedback loop that's taking place. So, you know, the question of how do we fix this problem? You can't just fix the internet. It's sort of, and you can't really separate between fixing the problem on the internet and fixing the problem offline. It's sort of like you need to address, you know, what are the root political, geopolitical, economic, social issues that are causing our society to be so distrustful, that are then feeding into the internet, that are then perhaps being exacerbated by various technology and design choices that companies have made, by the lack of transparency in a number of places, et cetera. But it all kind of mixes together in a negative feedback loop that then makes it harder to reform politics, harder to deal with gerrymandering, harder to deal with campaign finance, you know, because it's all feeding on one another. Harder to deal with economic issues because people become more and more polarized and you can't get consensus around any policy. And the solution is not going to be easy, but it is going to require, you know, people in a position who have control over technologies, whether they're regulators, whether they're companies, to really think, okay, how do we want this to be designed and managed in a way that's going to contribute to the kind of society we want to live in? And it's, you know, we have another session coming after this that's going to deal more in depth with that question very specifically. But there's no simple fixes. You know, in Germany, there's been laws proposed, as mentioned earlier, to deal with fake news. And the problem is that technically, when companies are trying to stamp out speech that is unwanted, they make a lot of mistakes. Activists and journalists get censored accidentally as well. And the other issue is that any solution or any approach you take to addressing these problems, because of the unique nature of the internet, it's going to have a global impact. It's not just going to affect Americans, it's going to affect people in Syria fighting Assad and ISIS, right? So if you say, okay, we need to get rid of anonymity, we need to weaken encryption so that we can catch the bad guys here at home, so that we can better identify the bad actors in our systems, well, there's some people over in Syria who just toast. Right, and also investigative journalists in a lot of countries as well, who are trying to bring the truth to light. They're under attack not only by extremists and kind of groups that do not believe in kind of global values, but also by their own governments in many cases. And all of this then feeds back into our own environment. You know, makes Putin stronger, you know, makes lots of situations harder, makes young people in many cultures more susceptible to terrorist messages because there's no strong alternative views. So it's a very difficult problem to deal with.